Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever talked to you about the short films.
See, you haven't talked to me about it, but I've seen enough of the podcast to know that's what you're doing. And there was something you posted. It was a little short film that I watched. It was really good.
Yeah. Like B&E or something like that, probably.
Maybe if I remember right, you were sitting on like a set of steps outside. You and another guy.
My bad, I think.
Maybe.
Is it the one where I walked out, smoked a cigarette.
Yeah.
And walked?
Yeah.
That was the very first one we did, man. Yeah. No, I'm excited to get you here, dude. I mean,
yeah, man, it's gonna be fun.
I got some questions.
I was wondering what kind of research you did.
I do. So I watched your thing and you talk, and I didn't realize because I haven't known you for very long, so I didn't really know much about you. But you're like, yeah, I've been playing out since 1994. And I'm like, oh well, there's a whole section that I'm gonna have to ask about. I don't know nothing about that.
Yeah, man, long time ago.
That's cool. We're gonna get into it then.
Sweet.
I'm gonna do a count in and then we'll rock it, man.
Yeah, man. Fire away.
All right. 3, 2. You talking to me? I'm talking to you. And this is talking to me, talking to you. And I am joined by Brandon Gray.
Yeah, what's up?
Of Brandon Gray and the Outlaw Skies.
Yeah.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing okay. I'm hanging in there.
Well,
How
dude,
are you?
Thanks for coming out. I appreciate this. Really.
I'm happy to be here, man. I've seen the show, and I was excited when you asked me to be on.
Well, dude, yeah, I'm excited that you're excited to be on. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I got you here, man, because I met you recently. I met you at a crooner circus.
Crooner, yeah. You were shooting pictures.
Yeah, I was seeing pictures. I think I seen you. I think I came out one time before I started doing photos for crooner.
Yeah, it was probably like in July or something.
Yeah, that was the first time I seen you play, and I think so. Yeah, I want to get into that. The first time I seen you play, I didn't obviously I had no idea what you sung about, what you played, how you played, and dude, I was just blown away by the pure context of your songs and where it come from, man. You know, the stories behind them, because I talked to Noah that night about it. I'm like, dude, this shit really hits me because me and Caden with our short films we discussed a little before the podcast. We make pretty deep and darker content to showcase to say to people, hey, this stuff's real. We do research, we look into different stories that's happened, you know, and then we kind of facilitate them into a fantasy world that we create with our art.
Yeah.
But I was just taken away because so you're obviously a musician, but for most of your life you've been a firefighter.
Correct. Yeah. Full time, just over 17 years.
That's insane. And dude, thank you for the service of that.
Yeah.
So are you firefighter and EMT?
Yep, firefighter EMT. Yep, I was coming out of high school and had to do my senior exit project back in the day, and you basically had to go in front of a panel of teachers and say, when I graduate high school, this is what the next 4 years is going to look like, and this is how I'm going to pay for that, or if you're going straight into a job, this is how much money I'm going to start out making, and then 5 years later, what your projected kind of salary was. You had to have this whole plan to present, you know, so I was like, man, I can't say I'm going to be a guitar player.
Yeah.
My teachers already told me that.
You were playing back then.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I was a senior in high school. All I wanted to do was play rock and roll, right?
Yeah.
And live the dream like everybody has, you know, and they flat out told me, they're like, if you do that, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
And so I
hate that mentality.
I know. I crush your dreams, right?
Yeah.
So I was coming out of high school one day, and some friends of mine were in a really bad car wreck in front of me, and I watched everybody stand around and nobody do anything, and I was like, why is nobody helping these people?
Oh, wow.
And so I jumped right in, you know, I did what I could do, not knowing anything about it.
Wow.
And
it's very brave of you, man, to do that.
Yeah.
A lot of people won't take that into their hands.
It was almost just a natural reaction for me for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And so I got done with that, and I was like, wow, that was pretty cool. And then
you enjoyed helping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And about 3 weeks later, almost the same thing happened. Totally different area of town, but a car wreck right in front of me. And again, I just jumped right in and started, you know, helping.
It's weird. It was weirdly calling to you.
Yeah.
To do.
Yeah. You know, and I was like,
crazy.
maybe I could do this for a living. Maybe I could make this a thing. And so I actually ended up doing my senior extra project on being an EMT.
Okay.
And came out of high school, went to Northern Kentucky University and got my EMT and started volunteering at the firehouse.
See, I was about to say you started volunteering first. How long did it take for you to get hired on to?
So I did about 2.5 years as a volunteer, and then I did about 2.5 years part time, and finally got hired on full time.
Wow, that's and you've been doing it ever since.
Ever since.
That's very cool, man. And like I said, seriously, thank you for doing that, man. It takes a lot of like bravery and courageousness to literally step into the fire.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Thanks for saying so. Yeah,
for sure. But that's like kind of spawns a lot of your storytelling and your songs, and so that was what really hit me. Like I got goosebumps right now thinking about it, because like you talk about the first song I heard from you, and this is also the song that's self-titled your EP, which is Heroin Under The Mattress.
Correct.
And so I first heard that song, and dude, right here, man, I was like, wow.
That's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, so if you wouldn't mind telling the story of that song.
Sure. I've seen, I can't tell you how many heroin overdoses I've seen. When the heroin epidemic, even before it was an epidemic, we would see it all the time. And this was a story of a girl who was obviously addicted to heroin. Her boyfriend was addicted to heroin. They had a little, tiny little apartment, a little 1-bedroom with a kitchenette and a bathroom kind of thing. And she had a 2-year-old son. And I don't know if I think it was the boyfriend that called. She overdosed. She was literally unconscious, not breathing when we got there on her living room floor. She still had the syringe in her arm. And the little boy, what struck me was the little boy was on the couch, just kind of like jumping up and down watching cartoons, right? Only wearing a diaper.
Doesn't even know.
What 2-year-old is going to understand the concept of what's going
They're
on,
just
right?
living their life, basically.
And lots of times on those types of calls, the police will beat us there.
Okay.
Because they'll also get dispatched. Well, they'll beat us there, and so they were already there. And some police have medical training, some don't. It's really kind of their personal preference.
Yeah.
And so there was at least one officer in the bedroom with the boyfriend, and you could hear them, man, just arguing. And so we got there, and we start working on the girl, and we give her Narcan and get her back, and she's in a stupor like they always are, and doesn't really know what happened or what's going on, and immediately, I don't know why, back then the laws and things have changed on the way that the police deal with the heroin epidemic. But back then, it was an arrestable offense.
Yeah.
Right now, it's not so much. But so of course she denies everything, and I remember specifically saying to her, "Why are you lying to me?" She's like, "I'm not lying to you. Look in your right arm."
Yeah.
And she looked over, and there's a syringe still in her right arm. Well, that's not mine.
Oh my Lord!
Really, we're gonna do this?
So
lost
in her,
demons,
man.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
it's sad.
We get her up. We get her on the stretcher. We're taking her to the hospital, and she asked. She said, "What's gonna happen to my son?" And I said, "Well, unfortunately, the police have already contacted Child Protective Services, and they're coming to get him." And like, you could tell, like, a light went off, like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my kid. But then it was replaced by, oh my God, I don't have to worry about my kid anymore. And I just watched it wash over her, and it broke my heart, man.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking.
And that was, man, I wrote this song, Heroin Under the Mattress, probably 8 years later, though.
Oh,
like,
really?
You know what I mean? It's something that is just
stuck with you.
It's just carried with me for that long, and I finally wrote it down and wrote a song about it, and it was just something that stuck with me. That I'll never forget that look on her face, and the idea of, I don't have to worry about my kid anymore. I can just do drugs.
Yeah, there's such a crazy mindset, man. Like, you're just so lost in addiction that you don't even care about.
Right.
Like what
you're willing to give literally everything else away.
Literally your child, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So my question, man, is like, with the context of like a lot like of the songs like that, what are you trying to like message with that? Because obviously you experienced it, you've seen it like firsthand. Like you're trying to share like the sorrows of the world.
Yeah.
So just like, what's your perspective on?
I think on that song in particular, it was. This is a reality.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, in every town, right? In Mount Orab, in Batavia, in Independence, in Florence, in Vivi, where I'm living, heroin's everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that aren't willing to accept that. Like, you've got a lot of people that live in a lot of really nice neighborhoods, and they're oblivious to it. But what they don't realize is 2 houses down.
It's under the mattress.
It's under the mattress.
Wow,
Exactly.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
good.
It's right there, and someone is doing it, and like, and you just, it was just kind of to bring the, you'd hear it on the news all the time. Oh, the heroin epidemic. Oh, the heroin epidemic. And I, there'd be so many people that'd be like, oh, that doesn't affect me. Well, actually, it probably does. You just don't know it yet.
Naive to the situation.
Right.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of parents, man, that used to think that way until they came home and they found their kid dead in their bedroom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, my goodness.
Yeah. I'm 25, and I experienced that throughout my high school years.
Sure.
It was really, because when did the epidemic start, per se?
I would
09,
say
010?
when they started labeling it an epidemic, probably 10 years ago.
Yeah, so about 2010. Yeah, I remember that. I was probably about to get out of high school, and it was just, people, dude, it was nuts. I remember that. Writing stuff like that. You've been around a long time. You've been playing music.
I've been around a minute.
Since 1994, I've seen earlier.
Yeah.
I'm learning more that you've been around a long time.
Yeah.
So where you play solo now? Did you play in any
Sure.
bands in the past?
Yeah, I've played in a bunch of bands, man. So I started playing guitar when I was 13 in 1993 because that's what my dad did. And my dad and my mom traveled around in a little Southern gospel thing, and I remember being a kid, like going from church to church to church, because they would go from gospel sing to gospel sing to gospel sing,
That's very cool.
And when I was actually like old enough, my dad would trust me to like push faders a little bit on the soundboard, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And I remember them doing that, and then my mom played piano and sang, and my dad would play guitar or bass. And I just, at the age of 13, I decided, I played saxophone in a middle school band. I hated every second of it. I said, I want to play guitar. And so I started playing guitar at the age of 13. And probably by the age of 14, around 94, 95, me and a buddy and our 2 dads actually formed a band called Father Son.
Oh.
And so so
killer, dude. That's
it
awesome.
was me and a buddy and our 2 dads. My dad played bass, his dad played drums, and we both played guitar and sang.
That's an awesome name.
And started, it was funny. We made all kinds of things out of it. Like they'd be like, oh, it's Father Son, and we're like, no, it's Fat Her Son, and stuff like
That's great,
we would mess with it and stuff like
it's
that.
A good experience for your first band too.
Yeah,
just get your fingers wet with like a fun project. With your dad.
Yeah, my dad.
Cool.
So it was funny. I always used to think of the song, "Your mama don't dance and your daddy don't rock and roll," and I was like, "My dad does, man!" It was. But yeah, we traveled around and playing churches and youth groups and stuff like that. Nobody else at that time was doing it in Cincinnati. There was no, now you've got a bunch of Christian rock bands and a bunch of Christian hardcore bands and stuff like that. But back in 94, 95, 96. Nobody else was really doing it, but it quickly took off, and so we kind of had our foot in the door first. And so, like, I remember weekends being 15 and 16 years old, where we were playing 2 shows on a Saturday and playing a Friday night, and a youth group wanting us on a Sunday and stuff like that. And it was crazy. we could play as much as we wanted to.
Yeah, that's right on the Pinnacle. I remember having a friend I used to go to church with, and he was really big into the Christian rock thing, and that was in the I'd say mid 2000s.
Yeah.
So it was like that just got like 1,000 Foot.
1,000 Foot Crutch.
Yep, 1,000 Foot Crutch. What was the other one?
I was even before that though. You know.
You were on the pinnacle of it. Yeah.
Like and the bands I listened to, were much more underground than like 1,000 Foot Crutch was and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's how it all started, and I did that until pretty much all the way through high school. And we had one label offer us a record deal that right kind of towards the end, and the other guy that was in the band, we were just kind of going different directions, and it just wasn't meant to be, which was fine. And so I took some time off and went to school and came back, and I got married at the ripe old age of 21.
Nice.
And came back and I had a guy that was his name's Brent Reed, a wonderful musician, lives like in Fort Thomas or Bellevue or somewhere over in that area in Campbell County. He hit me up and I started playing guitar in the Brent Reed band and writing songs with him. And we did the same thing, man. We killed it. We had a bunch of killer musicians in the band, and got up to started talking to some labels and competed in some pretty big Battle of the Bands around Cincinnati. did very, very well. And we got right to that point, and he was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. Okay. And I was like, Dad, go on it. Here we are again, right? Like,
yeah, two in a row.
Strike two, right? And so quit doing that. Played with some friends for a little bit in a little thing called Reverse from Zero that never really got off the ground. And we played a few shows here and there, but it ended up being more of like a, hey, let's just jam in the garage kind of thing, right?
Some fun with some friends.
Yeah, exactly. And so I remember my wife and I, we were going to church, and I was playing a lot at church, doing worship stuff, and I noticed this other couple about our age started coming, and you could tell he was like a punk rocker, rock and roll dude, right? His name was Johnny, and he started coming. We finally met each other, and he was like, dude, let's start a band. And I was like, no, I'm doing this Reverse from Zero thing. I don't want to give up on it yet. And I mean, he probably asked me for 6 months every Sunday, dude, let's start a band, dude, let's start a band, dude, and finally I was like, all right, fine, let's start a band. I said, but here's the deal. We're starting a band. I said, I want it to be a 3-piece, and I want to play bass.
Okay, so something completely different.
Something totally different. I told him, I said, in every band I've been in, I carried at least half of or all of the guitar work, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, if I'm going to start a band, like, I just kind of want to chill.
Take it easy.
Yeah, so I said, I'll play bass and sing harmonies. And he was like, all right, perfect, because he played guitar, and so we ended up going through quite a few drummers, but we ended up calling the band the Jericho Harlot, and it took off a little bit, man. We were touring regionally and playing a lot of shows. We were gone probably at least 3 weekends out of the month.
Yeah, wow.
Playing on the road.
Right back at it again.
Man. And I did that from 2011 up till the end of 2017, and that's when my life took a big right-hand turn due to a horrible tragedy at work, and God leading me and my wife into adopting our daughter.
Okay.
And so
that's beautiful.
Yeah. So in order for me to have the time to focus on family and adoption, I had to step away from the Jericho Harlot.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and I stepped away from music altogether for about a year. And after that, I was like, I got to play music. I gotta do something. And so I started working on songwriting.
Yeah. So did you write songs in the previous bands? Like,
I helped. I definitely, like, John and I would write together.
Contributed.
Yeah, and stuff like that. But my role and more came in as like the orchestrator. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, he would show up with a tune and we'd work through it. And I'd be like, that's really cool, but what if we try this and move this here, and instead of playing this chord on the bridge, let's play this chord on the bridge, and I'll sing this harmony, and it just worked.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
It just worked really well that way.
So, and how did that end up? How did you end up utilizing that once you started doing your solo stuff? Because then you have all the control of everything. Right? Like,
I figured it out, man. Like, it was funny. I did the solo stuff, and I was writing songs, and at first, I'll be the first to admit, man, the songs I started writing were awful. They just weren't. It just goes, man. Yeah, I just needed more practice, right? And I needed to really hone my craft. And I remember I wrote a tune, and my wife came down and she's like, "You're actually getting pretty good at this." I was like, "Oh, well, thanks."
It's just like when your wife or your mom come in, they tell you, "Hey, you're starting to sound pretty good."
Right.
Then you're on the right track.
And it was really all about developing melody lines and developing lyrics.
Yeah.
I've always been a lyric guy. Like, I'm not a fan of just immature, cheap lyrics, right?
Yeah.
And
I could tell your stories really hit, man.
Right. I like to tell a story. I wish I was a better storyteller. I'm not the greatest, but I like my songs and the lyrics to have just a good meaning.
Yeah.
So I was really hard on myself, and I really probably tried too hard to write these like deep, like super meaningful, like get a thesaurus, what does this word mean and how can I use it, and you know what I mean, kind of lyrics. And
Eminem on it.
Yeah, and I finally came to a point where I was like, you know what, it's not working. And so I just kind of relaxed in it and just let it happen.
Yeah.
And the songs
let it be organic within you, like, like my buddy told me, you got to write 100 bad songs to get one good one.
Absolutely.
And so
it's the same thing in taking pictures, right?
Yeah.
How many pictures do you take and you get 5 good ones?
So we take about 250 and come out with about 25.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's the same.
They're really good. They're
Yeah.
like the best quality. Yeah, exactly. And that comes with everything in life, man. You know, just practice makes perfect. Be patient. And like, there's only a few, you know, incidents where like it's like a prodigy thing where like boom, you just got it. Like I had this guy on, his name is Joe, he's from the band Alico, a friend of mine, Spencer Anthony, and him came on, and he just played drums since literally he's 1 year old. Like he was born, his dad played music, they had a little drum set, one day he was just banging on the set, and then he's like, I don't remember not ever playing drums. Yeah. And so he just, like a prodigy, you know what I mean? Very few instances of that. Everything else is a process of learning, getting relaxed and used to it, and I like that way, honestly, myself, because that's the one I've experienced, you know. But it's a cool life journey to understand what's right for you, and what's wrong, which is, you know, the bad and the good. So, but you now started doing your solo stuff. You've been doing that since, you said, like around 2019.
18, 19, somewhere in there. You know, but I really, when I started it, I didn't start it to seek out gigs and do things like that. I did it more for the healing process of the stuff I was dealing with at work.
Almost like writing poetry for
pretty much,
yourself.
almost like journaling to music, right?
Journaling,
like,
that's
you know what I mean. And you know, like a lot of like Heroin Under The Mattress, that song, right? That was just for me to get that off my chest.
Coping. You know
what I mean, and feel better about it, and you know, there's another song I wrote called "Say Why." It's on my very first EP that the only place you could really hear it would be on SoundCloud.
Okay, yeah.
But I wrote that song about a horrible tragedy at work, and also it's about, at the same time, going through this adoption process of my daughter, and how there were days I felt like I was getting ripped in half.
Yeah.
Right, because I've got this horrible thing that I'm dealing with over here, and at the same time I'm dealing with one of the greatest things I'm ever gonna do with my life.
It's like a tear. Yeah,
right. Yeah. You know, and so that's what the song kind of that's where it comes from, and it's just songwriting for me has the number one reason I do it is to work through issues.
That's a very observative perspective, and like, you know, just very visual. Like you see things like straightforward. Like, you know, you've I mean, obviously being a firefighter most of your life, that like dealing with those kind of tragedies almost on a daily, like maybe not daily, but weekly, monthly, when they happen, happen. But just dealing with that, like learning to compensate with that, and then like also just deal with your life in general, like your own personal stuff. Has led to, like, it's led to you're a very interesting guy, man. I mean, you're very
sweet. Let's drink some Dos Equis.
Yeah. No, you're very respectable. You're very cool dude. You're fun to hang out with. You're
thanks,
a good
man.
time, man. You write great songs.
Thank you.
You know, back to, so you just did a new album.
Yeah, I just put an EP out.
Yep.
Just October 15th. Also called Heroin Under The Mattress. It's a 5-song EP. I had about probably 13 or 14 songs to choose from.
Just wanted to cut it down.
Yeah, just cut it down. You know, I mean, the full length record is almost a thing of the past. You know what I mean? Like,
it is. Yeah.
It seems like, you know, we've gotten away from CDs, and everybody's streaming and all that, and they all want singles, man. You know what I mean? And so I kind of I went back and forth on it. Do I really want to do it? Should I make a record? Should I do an EP? Should I just do maybe 2 songs and call it a single? And I finally narrowed it down to 5 songs, and you know, put the time in, and I bounced a lot of ideas off Noah about that kind of stuff, you know, and so it just, that's what it came out to be. It was 5 tunes.
Yeah, and it looks like you're like it's very, I like the way that you kind of came out with it. Like, so you released the song, and then you released this like 3-part like behind the scenes.
Yeah,
story.
So it's funny that actually I gotta give all credit to Sandy Jones on that, man. Like, that was his idea. We were gonna do one video, and actually, it was gonna be some content for Noah Smith as well, and he couldn't. The dates ended up getting changed. Things. I remember Sandy got sick, and he thought he might have COVID.
Yeah.
And he was like, dude, I can't come. And I was like, no, that's cool. We'll reschedule. Well, we rescheduled for a date, and Noah couldn't be there. And I told Noah, I said, man, I want you to be there. and I want you to be able to use this for whatever you want to use it for. I said, but I got to get this thing done because that release date is coming, and I need this for promotional work. And so
absolutely,
Sandy and I did it, and he hit me up after we filmed it, and because we filmed everything in one shot basically, and one day. And he was like, dude, what if we break this up into 3 videos? And I was like, dude, you're a genius, man. Like, that is a great idea. Yeah. So he actually is the one that divided it up into the 3 segments that are there. And he kind of picked them apart and put them together. And he's like, this will be kind of like, who's Brandon Gray? This will be the meat of the story kind of Heroin Under the Mattress. And then the third one was, here's when we're releasing it, and here's what's coming next. And I mean, Sandy hit it out of the park, dude. He nailed that one for sure. For sure.
Oh, it looks great. And perspectively, dude, me, like, I just heard that song.
Yeah.
I just met you, got to know you a little bit, learned that you were a firefighter and where like a lot of your stories come from.
Yeah.
And I watched that, so I got to basically get explained what this whole story was about and the whole behind the scene of it. So it really opened it up because like now I know everything about this. So it was really cool for me to hear that song live and experience it like the way you presented it there, which Crooner Circus.
Crooner, yeah.
It's a singer-songwriter kind of thing where you're explaining where the song comes from as well. So it was cool for me.
Oh, well, good. Hopefully it was cool for everybody. That was the whole point of those 3 videos. It was kind of like, hey, here's what this is all about. You know what I mean? Because even the title, Heroin Under the Mattress, that's a heavy title, right?
It is, yeah.
And it's a heavy song. There's no doubt about it. Every time I play it at Crooner, I probably have 5 people come to me in tears.
Like, damn, yeah.
Right? Like, holy cow, man, what are you talking about? Where'd this come from? It's funny. I even had his name's Justin Ramage. He's the drummer now for the Jericho Harlot. His mom, dude, I've known him forever. His mom was my son's piano teacher, and I put that song out, and I don't remember how she heard it. It might have been when it first got released or through the videos or whatever. And she called Justin. She's like, hey, is Brandon addicted to heroin? I'm like, man, I gotta explain this. Like, I gotta let people know, where I'm coming from and what this is about, because it's really that was kind of the purpose of the song. It's to really educate people, man. That like it can affect anybody.
Absolutely.
And I don't care what neighborhood you live in or what you're doing. It can grab a hold of you like that.
Effects for years too.
Yeah.
Like, not only like death, but like the traumaticness that from the people that like are left behind.
Absolutely.
Like that person dying.
I mean, I've had my own friends and family members go through it, and and you can almost now ask anybody, hey, do you know somebody that's been through that? And they say yes. Which
sad.
It is sad.
The world is dark, man, but I'm glad we can make it a little bit brighter. With,
I hope so.
With moments like these, having good times, and and expanding on them and trying to bring more into the world.
I'm
teaching people.
I'm a spiritual guy, right, man? Me and Jesus, we get along, and He extends His grace to me every day. It's awesome, but He's called me to be a city on a hill, right? A light in a dark place, and that's all I'm trying to do, man. That's all I want to do, and my songs are upfront and honest, and lots of times they're very raw and real, and what you hear in the song is 99.9% truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and Brandon, dude, I commend that. I have a lot of respect for you.
Thanks, man.
On multiple layers. I think you're a very creative dude. You're a very straightforward dude. You tell great stories. And dude, thank you so much for coming on this podcast, man.
Dude, this is awesome. I'm stoked to be here, man. This is fantastic. You, I try to catch every episode. I'm like, oh, when's the next one?
That's what everyone says. Oh man, well, dude, thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
You have a great evening, man.
Yeah, you too, dude.
This has been Talking to You. Thanks for watching.